The reason I'm doing this now should be so clear to you guys. The journey and the path should be so clear. I don't even know how else to put it. Right now I got pneumonia, so I'm going to do the best that I can. But I apologize for the way things went and for our miscommunications. But I hope you understand it's a two-way street. So, without further ado, let's start where we left off. How about that? The last time I seen Ed was at Honda ELP. And we were putting in a line over where Ed worked at. And when I went to lunch, I went through lunch and sat down, and he came through, and it was like he seen a ghost. He bellowed and laughed and kind of created a little scene, and then when he went back, he sat all by himself. And it was touching to me because ever how many years the man knew me, he goes back and sits by himself. At Honda R&D, I had already been there for a while, working on the NSX project. We made fixtures. I made templates for the NSX. Some guys came over from Honda and ELP that's going to be working in the NSX factory. We taught them how to weld, set up the welders, ever what they wanted. This ain't about how I can do or what I can do. It's about something else, and I think you know what I'm talking about. After a month and a half of me and Mark being around each other, we got to work for each other for a couple of weeks because the weld schedules weren't right on the NSX. They were so bad that he needed someone to help him go through weld schedules. So I helped Mark. After we got to talking and everything, he wanted to know how I knew about Honda. Well, the truth is I've known about Honda since 1984. And then Mark was talking about Darren's parties, and I've been to Darren's parties. And he asked me how I knew people from Honda. Well, I told him I've known people from Honda from a long time ago, and also I dated a girl a long time ago, which her stepdad's name was Ed Denny. He knew Ed Denny. And things was okay. I guess he ran into Ed somewhere at a grocery store or somewhere like that, and they started talking. Well, when Mark came back, his attitude was totally different. He started being a little bit more mean and hasty and talking about relationships and this and that and telling me which way I should have went after I've already helped a man. The truth is if Mark's been to Darren's parties and Ed's been to Darren's parties, then they both ought to know that I've been at Darren's parties as well. And there ain't no difference from then until now, except for the fact I got the same people trying to tell me I haven't done something then and now. You understand what I'm saying? What good does it do to tell me I'm in the wrong when you guys have done it to me too? Okay? You've done me wrong, and you're telling me that I'm causing problems between relationships and stuff like that, which is nonsense. I haven't been in that house. I haven't seen Wendy for 15 years. That's an extraordinary long time for someone who believed in what you were doing and worked dearly on trying to get the stuff done. So if you all don't have kitchen table etiquette, let me help you understand a few things. There's a reason why I haven't been around for a long time. I haven't seen Wendy. I've only seen Ed a few times. And that's because of this Honda timeline. Second of all, you guys know in your hearts how hard I worked and what I done for you, okay? To expect someone to go through this level of insecurity and low confidence with these people out at Honda and to go on with your shenanigans after I showed you guys how easy it was is ridiculous. It makes me wonder sometimes what you guys are really up to. But I already knew all that, and that's what we're going to talk about next. The time before that, I sent you 2 letters about calling the law, and I didn't call the law. but I feel like I should because I was out here keeping your timeline, and you guys is out here going to bars and the OK and everywhere else. And you look at me like something's wrong with me or like I'm a surprise to you when someone that you've known and worked with has kept their timeline in their lives. You think that's funny or strange to you, okay? But listen on, and I'll help you with that. The time before that, you got on my Facebook and I was in Florida building a vacation home, okay? At this time, my dad was dying of multiple myeloma. I was also in a bad car accident. During that time, Rachel and Marco knew. I talked to Rachel beforehand and showed her a little video I made of what was going to happen. And how many years have we been apart? And how you guys have done me and treated me and talked to me. And after all that time, I was keeping your timeline sacred. And you guys from Honda can't even look at each other in the eyes and tell each other the truth. Okay? So I don't want to hear any more about relationships and all that stuff because you guys obviously have no idea what's going on. And someone doesn't need to tell you any more than what you could see and what you've known on your own because you've done me wrong before. Like I was saying, both Rachel and Marco knew what was going on, yet they decided to add to the fire. And during that time of my life, something majorly was going on that was way more important than your guys' little fantasy Honda timeline out here. Okay? I could still work out your problems and make sure the responsibilities met without being around, and that's called responsibility. I hope some other guys that have tried to influence my life and try to do all kinds of things and wonder about who I am understands that one day. The responsibility is going to dictate who they are. Not having a few conversations at the moment, because that's going to mean nothing. The time before that, I think it was when I seen Marco at my Uncle Ralph's house, okay? And I talked to Marco and I asked if Wendy was all right and this and that. And he went to talk to Marco and she said I took it hard. Well, we already knew she would say that. And we already knew that we would see you guys at the hospital. See, we knew about Brian way before all that stuff, okay? You guys can believe me or not believe me. But the first clue indicating that I know what I'm talking about and it's the truth is I haven't been around for a long time. I don't like to take things hard and do anything harder than what they're supposed to be, and I've tried to show you guys that on several occasions. But apparently it's not fast enough for what you guys like. But there again, remember, wherever you go, there you are. Okay? The time before that was at the hospital, and it was amazing to me. You guys was gone for years. And I was still working and doing, trying to keep up with all these different things that you all had going on. And you guys was out here going to bars, having a good time, going to the hospital. And it's okay if my aunt was dying. It was all right if Brian and Wendy was borrowing money off Marco and his aunt was the one that was dying in the hospital. And the whole time at the hospital, my family's time was ruined by people talking about jobs, letters, and drama, which you guys don't even deserve, and you know that. That's why we met that time. The time before that, you can imagine what was going through my mind at that time. Here I had already planned, I had already done, and had already worked. And you guys know that you've been out in the ocean somewhere. And you know that you've been gone a far distance away from me. And you guys come up with some kind of different excuse, or that's the way you guys do it, or no one must have patience to understand where you're at. Well, they don't need to understand all that. They just need to know your timeline. The time before that, when I sent you a letter, was years after you left. Years after you told us that no matter how hard we worked, no matter what we done, just because we didn't want to move on right at the time we broke up, you guys didn't even care what was going on. And I still went out to Honda ELP. I went out to Honda with a temperature of 107 degrees, already working a full-time job, trying to go out to Honda to figure out what you guys was doing. Was Ed out there? No. Was Wendy out there? No. Some guy with a name tag Brian came up to me and started talking to me. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know what he was about. But don't put that on me. Don't put it on the guy that you've been with 7 or 8 years trying to work things out, that you guys make it look like it's doing something wrong or someone wrong, and you don't know what me and Wendy's talked about. Let's move on to the letter before that. After we broke up, I sent you a letter, and it was about bad influences coming in and taking everything that you got. Okay? That's what the letter was about. And it was trying to tell Wendy all the good things that she could have done and what to watch out for. And that's what people out here that wants to make it, that's what they do. They do a good job and hold responsibility no matter who thinks they're getting involved, who people think that they are, and what's happened. Because they know ultimately the responsibility is what's left. And you guys can say, oh, that wasn't worth it. But you need to remember, I didn't run out to Honda at that time. I didn't do all that. I kept right on working. And I don't care what anyone says. Because if you done it to me in the first place, what's something that you say afterwards going to make any difference? Okay? The time before that, when me and Wendy were breaking up, here's exactly what happened. She asked me if I knew who I was, and I said no, because in my heart, I knew something was wrong and someone was going to get hurt. Not because I was physically upset or upset at you guys, but I knew in my heart, like the time that I worked before that and didn't get to come over and didn't get to do stuff with you guys, that something was more important was going to take place rather than us just be together all the time, okay? And that was this thing with Brian, okay? After me and Wendy talked a little bit, I asked her if she knew how hard I worked, okay? And that doesn't mean that I said, no, I don't want to be in a relationship. Do you know how hard I worked? I was concerned with Wendy. That's why I asked her, do you know how hard I worked? Because I felt like all my responsibilities up to that point was going to be dragged off in 57,000 different directions, okay? She asked me if I knew who I was, if I felt like I'd been pulled around, or if any of this other stuff was going on. And the truth is no. The truth is before we broke up, from then, about 6 months after we got together, all my time, since what happened between me, Wendy, and Ed, was devoted to making sure everything from Honda was done. And I don't just mean thinking about it. I mean working 12 or 14 hours a day, putting money in the bank, making sure all that stuff was done, okay? You guys can like that or not like that, but that's the truth. Why get away from the truth? Why distance yourself from a truthful thing that happened? Okay? So when we broke up, she didn't realize what I was thinking about at the time. So every letter that went out then and everything that happened was based around that. Okay? Ask her if you don't believe me. When we broke up, we said a few things. It was about, you guys probably thought it was a never-ending story or whatever, because that's the way Honda's done. But see, I didn't come from Honda or nothing like that. I came from Utaka. I had a different set of rules, and I had to work hard while you guys was out here messing around at Honda and everywhere else, okay? If you don't like it or you think everything leads to Honda, think again. A lot of people don't even go to Honda. They got their own lives out here, okay? They don't worry about Honda. They don't care what they think, and they sure as hell don't let them in and ruin their lives. And I can tell when an influence is coming in, I can feel it. You know what I mean? Me and Wendy were together long enough to realize these things, okay? And it's not hard to see that when I came over and I was a part of you guys, and I seen the different behaviors and this and that, it wasn't hard for someone to think, well, Honda's going to be a part of me before too long. So that's why a guy gets out here and works and does stuff. If you guys don't like that, or if you thought I was rough, or you guys thought something was wrong, I don't know what to tell you. Everything we had was paid off. There was no reason for me to act like anything was mad or anything was upset other than being confused and other than the times you went off with Brian and those different timelines happened along that line. That's what all that was about. And you guys, I hope you're not vain to think all that's drama, because Wendy's done it to me before, and you guys, I've seen you guys do it to each other. Okay, so for a guy to come in and pick which way works for him, and he's successful doing it for 7 or 8 years, you guys should know that. And me and Wendy were together long enough for her to know what we had, who we were, and what we done. So it's not implausible that a person can think about what you're doing on the side other than what their responsibilities are. Okay? If you guys think that they're taking it hard, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't know why you're telling me that. I don't know why you tell people that. The time before that, mine and Wendy's relationship was me working and Wendy going to school. Okay? Now, I wouldn't take what me and Wendy had back then over what anyone has right now. And what I'm saying is what we had back then was way better than what people have right now. I know it was because I put the time in. When I got the rings, I built off the commitments and all that. I know what people had, and I know what they talked about, and I know how they tried to move in and just destroy stuff. Okay? So, to me, that's like saying, you guys got a key, and my family's saying, you're going out to the bar, you're going to hang out with Brian, you're going to Marysville, you're going to try to do us wrong again. And me and my family understood all that. So please don't act like you're upset when our timelines go on and you got a problem with someone else working somewhere. Because it ain't going to happen. I'm not turning back. You guys don't understand, when something didn't happen with Brian, what was you guys going to do? It was going to take someone with experience, enough strength, and a college education just to meet you guys out there. And me and Wendy would have had to start over anyway. In all that time she was with Brian, it was easy to understand that she was in a relationship she liked, but at the same time she didn't know 100%. And that's exactly why I done exactly what I did. And that's exactly why I worked at Utaka, to take care of all those problems. If you guys were upset at the timeline and how long it took, then do something else besides 15 years of telling people they're writing you letters and they're doing you wrong and they're not matching up to what was in your mind with your thoughts, and start looking at the reality of stuff. Yeah, I worked. I went to college too. I got 80 classes in engineering. I got a bachelor's degree. Okay? All those times I didn't work full time, but I got my degrees and done what I had to do. Other times I was getting back surgeries or what else from an accident. If people don't like that, and they don't like people in my family dying, or they want me to hush up about that while you guys go out here and just have a good time, forget about it, man. Life has already went by too long to be doing that stuff, okay? And I've already showed you guys on many accounts, many times, and people don't have to be upset. Right now I'm not upset, and I'll be telling you the same way. We already done that. We already seen what you guys could do. We already seen what would happen if Wendy got involved with these different people, Dean Paxton, the guys from Myers, and all that stuff. See, you guys don't understand. The first time we went to Rockley's Bicyclery was the first time I seen the image of Brian in my own mind. So, a big blow up didn't have to happen. All this different things didn't have to happen. I already knew about Brian. The letters I sent you was telling you, yeah, we understand what's going on, and here's what to look out for. Here's what to do. And that is spoon feeding you guys. Okay? And even when we done that, and even though you guys knew that I was working and doing right, you guys still tried to put the extra weight on me. You guys still tried to talk about jobs and all that stuff, and that ain't none of your business. Okay? Because all that was extra for your extra actions and your extra fantasies toward Brian. I knew about Brian because Wendy told me about Brian. And Wendy told me about the stuff you guys has been through. Okay, well, I looked at that as for face value as what it was, and I kept asking myself, why can't we just fix it the way it is? So that's what I done all them times, okay? You guys don't realize how much it takes to keep what you got. To keep it. You may have it for a day or two, but keep it for longevity and then tell me, okay? Get the rings like we did, and then have to go back to being friends, even though Me and Wendy were the only two people we were around when we first got together all them years. Okay? And if people act like they know what they're talking about and they're rough and tough, break up on Christmas and never talk to each other again. Yeah, I found out you guys were with Brian in the military. Okay? So even though I do all these things, and even though you see me working on 2 or 3 different occasions and doing the right thing, and through this time you've heard good things, you act like it ain't good enough for you, or there's something else needs to be done, and there's nothing else that needs to be done. Okay? If anything needs to be done, I need to get away from the way you guys are doing stuff and do things the right way. If I would have had a kid and brought a kid up in the house next door, Brian would have been trying to get it. Okay? And that wasn't about to happen. Me and Wendy came all that way on our own, and you guys don't realize. Me and her keeping stuff was the important thing. Me and her doing stuff on our own was what the important part was. We could have done all this, no problem. But I'm not chasing you all over God's green earth in a bar and everywhere else just so you guys can talk about letters and jobs. That stuff was old in 1982, and them guys that worked at Honda then that I knew from my childhood are still talking about the same old stuff in Honda right now. So, you guys, I don't know what you're talking about half the time, okay? You guys might be upset. You guys may not like something, but that's your own thing. To me, I seen you not like a lot of things and not like a lot of people. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise for me, and I'm just a long list of people you guys has went through and don't like. Well, tough shit. I've been over it for a long time, okay? Uh, for you not to see the journey that me and Wendy has been through and me accomplish your dreams over the years and do things right to where they stand up and they can go on another day, for you guys not to see that, for you guys to be so vain when we got together, not to see the goodness in our relationship. It was just me and her out in the country somewhere. And this stuff was already done when we were younger. For you guys not to see that and want to regulate that and control that into what you guys had, the worst thing you could have done was put all these images of people and influences in all these different ways in the young 20-year-olds' minds, and you all know that. But see, Honda's not the problem. Yutaka's not the problem. You're the problem, and Wendy's the problem, okay? I'm not worried about what she thinks or what her problem is or why you guys are talking about people that took it hard. You knew where I was. You knew where I worked. You guys could have just came in and said, hey, we cheated on you again. We done the same old thing we done to you before. Again, that's what the problem is. But see, I didn't look for that anymore, because that's not the answer anymore. That's the answer for you guys, for your own series of choices and thoughts, for your own decisions, for yourself. It's not about someone being happy for you. My family's always been happy for you and always done what we were supposed to do. But you guys didn't like it. You guys wanted something else, okay? And to me, it's hard to believe that you would even try to throw a policy of what you think Honda and how you dictate different things are to be when you've seen that me and Wendy's done better on her own. You've seen that we've done better before all that, okay? There's no way that I'm going to put my relationship and my hard work and my dedication, which you guys haven't even figured out yet, in the hands of people that lie to each other and continue to do this year after year after year. Okay? Would you do that? No, you didn't do that. So don't expect me to do it. Don't expect me to understand what you guys are doing when you're out here anywhere in a bar and it has nothing to do with your behavior. It has something to do with your behavior of what you want to do all the time, and that has nothing to do with anyone else. You see what I'm saying? Your traits and your behaviors are choices that you made long before any of this happened, okay? And you act like it's a big deal when someone solves it and gets it fixed and moves on with their life. Apparently, you guys can't move on with your life, okay? When I had to work at Utah and give my life up year after year after year and not even see you guys, that's when I done what I was supposed to do, okay? You guys kept asking me why I worked, why I was doing this, why I was doing all these different things. And did that time lead to this time now for Honda? No. It led back then to getting things straightened out with all these different people trying to break up people's relationships that look so dumb and stupid. I don't even want to get on here and talk about it. It's dumb, okay? You guys got a kid now. You act like everything's okay now. So why don't you just live that way? You know what Josh is about. You seen him work, you seen him do, you seen him put dedication into stuff. You wondered why he bought stuff, but then again, you seen him work and put money in the bank all during that time. You seen someone with dedication you didn't understand. And you seen the longevity in a dream of someone come true that you're understanding right now. Okay? God bless you in whatever you're doing.